Today we're going to be looking at a very handy tool called the Format Painter. We're also going to be taking a look at how to use the highlighter and something called Quick Parts. In this lesson we're going to show you how to copy the format from one piece of text to another using the Format Painter. We'll show you how to use the highlighter, something you probably are already familiar with, so we'll touch on that. We'll show you how to add symbols to the document, and then we're going to take a look at something called Quick Parts. And Quick Parts has built into it something called building blocks. And so we're going to explain how building blocks work with Quick Parts and how you might need to use that for adding parts to your document. The file we're going to need to open is found in Lesson 25 of the book. And specifically, the page number we're going to need to go to is page 317. So I'm going to turn in my book to page 317. And I'm going to open that document file. I'm going to enable the editing. And I'm going to save this file to my documents, creating a folder with today's date. Opening that folder and adding my initials to this file. Now as we take a look at this file, you'll see if you've got your show hide on, you'll see that there is a section break, which is what was needed in order to create the two different columns. There's also a column break. This is trying to balance these columns out a little bit better. But notice the formatting is different from the left column and the right column. I want this right column to look like the left column. And so here's what I'm going to do. While I could try to figure out what font is being used and the size and all the settings relating to it, there's a much simpler way if I want to make one item look like another item. And that's called the Format Painter. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select lions. My goal is I want zebra to look like lions. So with lions selected, this has the look I want. I'm going to click on my Format Painter. I'm now going to take my mouse and I'm going to select zebra. Now zebra, because I use the Format Painter, has the exact same look as lions. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the paragraph. So I'm going to select this first paragraph under lions. And once again, I'm going to use my Format Painter. I want to copy the look of this paragraph. Now I'm going to take my mouse and I'm going to select all the text underneath the zebra. And now the text underneath zebra has the same look as the text underneath lions. So I use the Format Painter to copy not the text itself, but the look of the text. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this so that we can see the text a little bit better. The next thing we're going to play with for the next minute or two is the highlight tool. And what the highlight tool does allows me to highlight text much like a highlighter allows you to highlight text in a book. We can highlight text in our document as well. The first thing we're going to do is underneath the lions section, we're going to select the text that says sleep at night and hunt during the day. Sleep at night and hunt during the day. I want to take this text and I want to highlight it, but I want to highlight it in yellow. So I'm going to click this drop down and I'm going to pick the yellow option here to make that text highlighted in yellow. Now, over on the right-hand side, under zebra, there's an odd sentence in here. I need to find this here. There's a sentence that talks about the red and white stripes. There it is. The red and white stripes. Okay, we're going to select that because this is a bit of a mistake. The red and white stripes. And so what I want to do is I want to highlight that, but I want to highlight in a color other than yellow. So we're going to use this fuchsia or pink, I guess it is, pink color here to highlight that text as a potential problem. Now, when you look at it, the zebra does have white stripes, so the white stripes isn't the problem, it's the red portion. So here's what I want to do. I want to select where it says white stripes, and I want to get rid of that highlighting. I want to remove that highlighting. So with white stripes selected, I'm going to come up to my highlight tool, and I'm going to choose the option that says no color. And what that's going to do is get rid of the highlighting on this particular area. Now, another thing that we can do with our highlight tool is we can turn it on. If I want to highlight a bunch of parts of my document, what I can do is I can turn my highlight tool on and leave it on. So I'm going to come up to my highlighter tool. Notice I have nothing selected. I'm going to come to my highlight tool, and we're going to use this green color right here. With this green color turned on, notice that my cursor now changes to this highlight tool. So now if I select Voyager Travel Adventures African Safari and let go, it will highlight that text in green. Alright, in a similar manner, I'm going to come over here to the right where it says we will see many zebra while we are on the safari. I want to select that, and that will highlight that. Now, when we are done highlighting using this method, we do need to come up and turn that highlighter off by clicking on the highlight tool. So we've got the highlighting taken care of. Now we're going to change gears a little bit, and we're going to insert some symbols. Now the place where these symbols are going to go is above the section break. If you don't have your show hide turned on, go ahead and get that turned on and find the section break and click on the paragraph symbol right above the section break. Now, to insert a symbol, we go to the Insert tab. Insert, and on the far right hand side you will find your list of symbols. And there are a bunch of symbols that we can choose from. I'm going to come down and choose More Symbols so that I can pick from a bunch of other symbols. In the past, we did insert a symbol using a bullet, and we picked a symbol from the bullet. And so we're going to use one of those funny sounding symbol fonts. So the font that I currently have listed here is the symbol font. I'm going to change this. You may remember that there are some fonts called Wingdings, Wingdings 2, and Wingdings 3. And the one that we're actually going to choose is Wingdings, the one with no number on it. And if you click on any symbol that's here, you will notice a number that appears down here. This particular one that I happen to click on is 197. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to find the symbol, and I need to scroll up in order to find this one. I'm looking for the symbol of 123. Now if you know the code, you can type it right here, and since I'm telling you the code is 123, you can type that code number in right here, and it will find that particular wingding symbol. So with code 123 selected, I'm going to click Insert, and you'll see in the background here, you may need to move your box to the side a little bit. You will see the symbol appearing. Now, I'm going to also insert the symbol right next to it, 124. That's the solid flower here. I'm going to insert that symbol as well. And I'm going to click Close. So I now have two symbols that are here, but these symbols are kind of small, so I'm going to select those two symbols. And on the Home tab, a symbol basically acts and responds just like a character. So if I want to make this picture, this symbol bigger, I can come to my font drop down, and I can come down and I can choose size 48, and that will make those two symbols larger. Now what I want to do is I want to put the second symbol on the right side. So I am going to use my right tab to do this. So I'm going to click up here where my tab symbol is. I'm going to change from left to center to right. And when I hover over it, it will tell me that this is a right tab. And what I'm going to do, my cursor is on this line here. I'm going to click at that 6-inch mark on my ruler. That places the right tab in. And now on my keyboard, I'm going to press tab, and that should move my symbol over. Now for some reason my picture got smaller, so I'm going to change this back to 48 so that I've got the white flower on the left, the black flower on the right, with the right tab in between. Now I've scrolled down in my document back to my two columns again, and where this is highlighted green, the Voyager Travel Adventures African Safari. This is actually a registered trademark, meaning we have trademarked this name, and it's a registered trademark. So what I want to do is I want to put in a special symbol to let people know that this is a registered trademark. And so I'm going to click after the word Safari, and we're going to go to Insert and Symbol, and we're going to click on More Symbols again. And I want you to notice down here at the bottom, at the most recently used symbols, there are some symbols that should be down here that are commonly used symbols. And one of them is the registered trademark. The registered trademark is the R with a circle around it. The other one that you need to know is the copyright symbol. We're going to talk about that one in a minute. Copyright is the C with a circle around it. And the regular trademark symbol is the TM. In this particular case, we're going to be inserting the registered trademark symbol. So with the registered trademark symbol selected, I'm going to click on the Insert key, or Insert button I should have said. Click Close to close out of this. And as you can see, I'm going to zoom in so you can see this a little better. The registered trademark is indeed entered in here. Now, I'm going to add a couple more symbols in, not because we necessarily need them here, but I want to practice and show you the keyboard shortcuts for those. The two symbols that we talked about when I had that box open was the copyright symbol and the trademark symbol. To put the copyright symbol in, there is a keyboard shortcut, and that keyboard shortcut is Control-Alt. So I'm holding down on my keyboard, Control and Alt, and I'm going to tap the letter C on my keyboard. Control, Alt, and C puts in the copyright symbol. Also, if I want the trademark symbol, I can also do Control, Alt, but I will use the T for trademark. Again, I could have used insert symbol, but these are keyboard shortcuts that if you learn them, will make entering in these symbols a little quicker. The last keyboard shortcut is I want to repeat the registered trademark that we did a minute ago, and you can probably guess what this keyboard shortcut's going to be. It's going to be Control, Alt, and yes, the letter R for the registered trademark symbol. So again, I've placed three symbols at the end of this paragraph: the copyright symbol, the trademark symbol, and the registered trademark symbol, just to give you practice with inserting symbols, specifically the copyright, trademark, and register trademark. The next thing I want to do is I want to go to the footer of my document. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to double click down here in the footer area of my document. I want to center something down here in the footer. So on the Home tab, I'm going to go ahead and hit the center button to center what I'm getting ready to put down here. I'm going to go back to that Design tab because we're going to need that in just a minute. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in the text, published on. So I've typed in the text, published on, and now what I want to do is I want to put the date that this document was published on. If you come to this button called Document Info, earlier in some of the practice exercises, I may have shown this to a few of you in class. There was an option in one of the earlier apply activities that it wanted you to type in the file name. And for those of you who asked or who I would have seen was on that lesson, I said that if you're on the document info, you can insert the file name right from here. But there are some other properties that we can also insert. By the way, notice that these properties that you're seeing here, most of them, not all, but most of these properties are the same properties that you see when you click on File and Show All Properties. In other words, there is a status, there is a categories, a subject, and so on. So these properties that are here can be placed in the document if we want them to be. And in this case, we do want them to be. So here I am, published on. I'm going to say document info. One of the document properties that is available is what's called the publish date. So I'm going to click on publish date, and it drops in the property for publish date. Now, if I went to File Properties, I would see that the publish date is blank. That's why there is no date that's been put in here. So we're going to go ahead and type in today's date. So we're going to go ahead and type in November, and today's date is, I'm going to pretend it's the 19th, and comma, 2015. Again, whatever today's date is, you can put it in here. You also could use the drop down here and pick from the calendar, but that would put in the short date. Alright, so you can use the calendar. Actually, for this particular exercise, that's fine if you want to use that short date. And I think I said that 19th is the day that I wanted to put in there. So I've got that published date in there. At this point, I'm done with my footer. I've accomplished what I wanted with the footer, so we've talked about that document info. I'm going to close out of my footer, and that'll put me back into the main document again. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit because this next thing I'm going to do, you're going to need to see a little better. And what I want to do is I wish to insert a text box, a specific type of text box. So we're going to go to the Insert tab, Insert, and we're going to choose our text box option. This is something we've dealt with before. And the text box that we're going to specifically use is one called banded quote. The text box that we're going to use is one called banded quote. So we're going to place that text box in our document. And not sure why that got placed there. I'm going to press undo because I want my text box to appear at the top of this document. So I'm going to click up here at the top where it says Safari with Voyager, go back to Insert, Text Box, and do my banded quote. That's more like where I wanted it to go. Okay, so I've got my banded quote where I want it to go. And I'm going to change a few settings on this particular text box that we put in here. In this heading portion, this blue band up here, we're going to type in the text travel tip, and I want to do this in all caps, travel tip. Alright, so I've typed in my text, and I'm going to make that text bold. So I'm going to go to my Home tab here, make it bold. Alright, and the last thing I want to do, well, not the last thing, but the next thing I want to do is I want the text to be green instead of blue. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Format tab. The Format tab is open because I've got a text box open. Now I do want you to notice that there are a couple parts of this particular text box. There is the box itself around the outside. There is the heading of the box if I click on it. And then there's the text itself. Right now I want to be on this box that says travel tip. So make sure that the handles appear around that travel tip. And on the Format tab, we're going to go to the Shape Styles here. And what we want to do is we want to change the look of this particular box. The one we're going to pick is in this lower right-hand corner. It's called Intense Effect, Green, Accent 6. So we've changed the heading to Intense Effect in that green color. And the other thing I want to do is I'm going to select this text right here, this boilerplate text here, and I want to change its color so that whenever I type text in here, it will also be green. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the text fill, and I am going to pick this bottom right corner as well. It's the green accent 6 darker 50%, and I'm picking that particular option so that whatever text I might type in here for my travel tip, it will also appear as green. Alright, I've made a couple changes to this text box. And what I want to do is I want to use this text box over and over and over and over again. In other words, I want to drop this text box in. Just like I might go to Insert Text Box, and we used the banded quote before, I want to create a text box, if you will, that if I scrolled down in this list, I would find a text box called Travel Tip, and it would put this box in. Alright, that's my goal. So, I can make my own text box by going to Quick Parts. Now, you need to have the box selected, so make sure the outside edge of this text box is selected. I go to Quick Parts, and what I'm going to do is I am going to save this selection, this text box, to the Quick Parts gallery. Now, I am going to call this Travel Tips. Call this Travel Tips. And what I want to do is where this says Gallery, I'm going to save this into the Text Boxes gallery. What this is going to do is it is going to add this Travel Tips item as a text box. Alright? And so I can type in if I want, I don't have to do this, but I'm going to type in Voyager in the description here. Voyager Travels text travel tips. I can type here. Alright, so I'm creating a text box that I'm calling Travel Tips. Let's click OK. And that puts this text box in. Now let's test this theory. On my keyboard, I'm going to go ahead and press the delete key to get rid of that particular text box. putting my cursor back up at the top of my document, and let's see if I can insert this now using my text box drop-down tool. So I'm going to click on the text box up here, and I'm going to scroll down, and alphabetically I have a text box now called Travel Tips. And if I click on it, it does indeed put this travel tip text box into my document. So I now have the ability to put this not just in this document, but in any future document that I may want to use. I have added this as a quick parts item. So repeating what we've done, by going to the Insert tab, I use the Quick Parts option. Okay, and here I had an object selected, and what I did is I saved the selection to my Quick Parts gallery. What this does is it lets me add stuff to my text box, lets me add it if I wanted to add what I put down here in the footer. If I wanted to add this as an option under footers, I could do that. Alright, if I wanted to create my own custom header, I could go to Quick Parts and add save header, save it to my Quick Parts gallery and add it to my header category of items, and then it would create my own custom header. What this does is it lets me build my own custom items that I can use over and over again in my documents. I am done with this particular file, so let's go ahead and save this file, and we're going to close the file. Now when you close this file, you may see this prompt. Now if you've got your notebook or something like that still open, you may not get this prompt. It's when you close Word completely down that you will eventually get this prompt. It says, you have modified styles or building blocks. Building blocks is what we actually modified. And so what this is asking is, do you wish to save that change? If you say save, then that travel tips building block that we created will then become available in any document in the future. If I said don't save, then that travel tips will not be available. So we want to hit the save button here. And we want to, if you get this message, go ahead and click continue. In this lesson, we showed you how to copy the formatting of the look of the text using the Format Painter. We used the highlighter to highlight text and to remove highlighting. We added symbols to our document. And then we wrapped up by showing you the Quick Parts tool and how you could use that to add in a building block. The building block we specifically added was a text box building block, but you could have added a header building block, a footer building block, all kinds of different things that you could have added to your document in this way.